Hey YouTube, this is Unger to the Max, coming at you with another video from my screened-in porch. And I decided to film here for today because, as you can see, it is a really nice day outside. So I figured, instead of doing my usual sports background, why not change it up and give you a little piece of nature. So anyway, there has been a lot happening in the world lately. Whether you want to talk about coronavirus and the whole pandemic and how that's affecting sports and if leagues should come back or not, or if you're referring to all the social justice issues that are coming up, which I fully 100% support Black Lives Matter. And I truly believe that. I hope and pray that one day everybody is on the same level and even playing field so that we don't have to look down at one another. And this doesn't just apply to African Americans. It also applies to everybody. Whether you're Asian, African, South American, it doesn't matter. We should all treat everybody with respect, the dignity that we all deserve. And on that note, FedEx is the primary sponsor of the Washington Redskins Stadium. Now, if you're a longtime viewer of my channel, you know that normally I don't say that team's name, as I find that they're both the name and logo to be racist, discriminatory, stereotypical, derogatory. But for the purpose of this little conversation, I'm mentioning it. So like I previously said, FedEx, who is the primary sponsor of the Washington Redskins Stadium, has formally asked Dan Snyder and the organization to change its name. Nike, who is the primary seller of NFL merchandise, later followed that statement up from FedEx by removing all Washington Redskins merchandise from their website. Now, when I first saw that report, I was a little bit skeptical. So, later in the night, I decided to go on Nike's website and check it out for myself. I typed in Washington Redskins and nothing came up. So, it is true. Nike removed all Washington Redskins merchandise. So, I am hoping and praying that Dan Snyder finally gets it through his head that he has no choice but to change the name of the team and to change the logo. Now, I believe Washington came out and said that they are going to do a thorough investigation and review of the team's name. And Stephen A. Smith said at one point on First Take that he had a reliable source tell him that the name is going to eventually be changed. And it might even happen before the start of the regular season. We'll have to wait and see. But again, I'm hoping and praying that Dan Snyder finally recognizes, if I don't change the name, I could face serious consequences. I'm now going to do the right thing and change my team's name and logo. But that's not what I want to make the primary point of this video. But I had to get that little segment off my chest. I hope you don't mind. So the primary thing that I want to get to in this video is actually the Cleveland Browns. First off, I don't think the orange helmet is a logo. To me, the Cleveland Browns do not have a logo. Unless you consider the little elf guy the logo, or the dog head a logo. I would love it if the Browns would come out and say, we're changing our logo to either the elf or the dog head. But to me, a helmet that's orange isn't a logo. But that's not what I want to talk about with the Browns. No, what I want to talk about with the Browns is actually their offense. Okay? So, stay with me. So, coming off of what they did in 2018, once Freddie Kitchens took over as offensive coordinator, there was a lot of hope and hype for the Browns coming into 2019. Not just because of how they performed at the end of 2018, but because of the offseason moves they made. You know, bringing in Odell Beckham Jr. and Olivier Vernon from the New York Giants, to bringing in Sheldon Richardson as a free agent, and bringing in Kareem Hunt, amongst other moves. And they made Freddie Kitchens head coach. And you had all these high expectations for the Browns. Like, oh, the Cleveland Browns are going to be a top 3 team in the AFC. And they are going to challenge the New England Patriots or the Kansas City Chiefs for a spot in the Super Bowl by playing in the AFC Championship. And they're going to win the division. And they're going to host a playoff game. And all this and that. And yes, I will admit, I bought into the hype, which, as a Browns fan, I should know better not to do that. But I did. I mean, for God's sakes, we had 4 primetime games last season. 4. Week 2 at the New York Jets was Monday Night Football. Week 3 was home against the Rams. That was Sunday Night Football, which we should have won that game. But it was because of a combination of Freddie Kitchens' ineptitude at play calling and Baker Mayfield's inability to make plays that cost us that game. Then we had the debacle in Week 5 at the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. And then we had the good game against the Pittsburgh Steelers on Thursday Night Football, which ended horribly when Myles Garrett decided to be, let's just come out and say it, Myles Garrett decided to be an asshole by taking off Mason Rudolph's helmet and slamming it over his head. Sorry, but he was an asshole. Anyway, so the Browns ended up failing to meet expectations, as they unfortunately usually do, by going 6-10. So, you know, nobody's really talked about them this offseason. People around the league are talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for obvious reasons. They brought in, you know, Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski. They're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. They're talking about the Baltimore Ravens. People are talking about the Tennessee Titans and whether they were a one-year wonder or they're a legit threat. They're talking about the New Orleans Saints, the Green Bay Packers, and many, many other teams. But not many people are talking about the Browns. And I like it that way. The Browns were overhyped last season. Plain and simple. And like I said, I bought into the hype. And like I said, as a Browns fan, I should know not to do that. But what I would like to see the Browns do this season, specifically for offense, is be a run-first team. Now, I'm not just saying that because we brought Kevin Stefanski in as head coach, and he was the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, where they had a very potent run offense led by Dalvin Cook, who I think has been a great fit for the Vikings since they drafted him out of Florida State. I think the Vikings were actually able to snag him in the second round. I don't remember what year they drafted him off the top of my head. And also, I believe Stefanski took Kirk Cousins from the 17th ranked quarterback to like the 4th ranked quarterback. But anyway, I know the Browns have all these dynamic weapons on the outside, such as Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., not David Njoku, because apparently he wants to be traded. But the Browns also brought in Austin Hooper as a free agent. formerly of the Atlanta Falcons, which hopefully when the Browns play the Falcons, me and Sports Live in the ATL will be able to connect again and do a video collaboration instead of me just talking to him on the phone, which I did enjoy doing that, but I would like to do a video face-to-face collaboration with him. So hopefully when the Browns play the Falcons in 2022, I believe it will be. Yeah, 2022, because this season they play the NFC East. Next season, they play the NFC North. And then the year after, they'll play the NFC South. So, I believe it's 2022. Hopefully, myself and David will be able to connect. And we'll be able to do a proper video collaboration. Anyway. So, I'd like to see the Browns become a run-first offense. Because, again, I don't think it would just benefit Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, who I think made for a very dynamic duo last season. That was on full display throughout the season. But I think it would also benefit Baker Mayfield and the receivers. Because if you can effectively run the ball, it brings the linebackers and the safeties down into the box because they want to try and stop the run. And what happens when a team brings their defense in? It opens up the middle of the field for guys like an Odell Beckham Jr., guys like a Jarvis Landry, an Austin Hooper, the guy we drafted, the other tight end we drafted. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. Something Bryant. I believe he comes out of Florida Atlantic. But my point, and not just that, if you're effectively running the ball, it means the opponent's defense is out on the field longer. It means the opponent's offense is having to sit on the sideline longer. So let's say you're facing a team that has a really potent offense, like, for example, the Philadelphia Eagles, okay? Yes, I think they have a potent offense with Carson Wentz. And we can get into more of a discussion in a different video about who really has a potent offense and who do I think is going to kind of flop. But yes, I would say the Eagles have a potent offense. When they're fully healthy anyway. So, let's say the Browns are playing the Eagles, which they will be playing the Philadelphia Eagles actually in Week 11. Here in Cleveland. Which I'm surprised that game actually wasn't a Sunday night game. Because I thought the NFL would be like, Carson Wentz against Baker Mayfield. Let's make that a Sunday night game. So that surprised me. But anyway, let's say, so the Eagles are at the Browns, right? If the Browns are running the ball, it means Carson Wentz and that Eagles offense are having to sit on the sidelines longer. Plus, it means, like I said, the Eagles defense is having to stay out on the field. And they might eventually gas out, which could mean longer passing plays. Like what could have earlier been like a 5-yard passing play could turn into a 30-yard passing play. You don't know. Plus, an added bonus, the Browns defense stays on the sidelines. And that allows their batteries to recharge and be so that they're fully ready to go when they are called upon to go back out onto the field and try and slow down Carson Wentz and the Eagles offense. Again, I'm just using the Eagles as an example. You could put a different team in there if you want. Like, you could say, I don't know, the New York Giants, for example. Same thing. If you can effectively run the ball, you're keeping the Giants' defense out on the field longer, meaning Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley have to sit on the sidelines. And again, the Browns' defense also sits on the sideline, and that gives them more time to prepare and recharge their batteries, like I said. So, hopefully, the Browns are more of a run-first style offense this season. I think that would be the best method of attack for them. And to finish it off, it was originally looking like the preseason was only going to be 2 games, but I believe I saw a breaking news from NFL Network, which said the NFL Players Association voted to have a 0-game preseason. So, we'll see how that goes. As of right now, with only 2 preseason games, the Browns are slated to play at the Green Bay Packers and home against the Minnesota Vikings. So that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, punch that subscribe button like a UFC fighter. Which, by the way, UFC 251 is coming your way July 11th from UFC Fight Island in Abu Dhabi. Main event is Kamaru Usman trying to make the second title defense of his welterweight championship against his teammate Gilbert Burns. Co-main event is a rematch of the co-main event of UFC 245 when Alexander Volkanovski defends his featherweight belt for the first time against the man he took the belt from, Max Holloway. And you have Peter Yan taking on Jose Aldo for the vacant bantamweight belt. Plus, you have a rematch of UFC 237 when Jessica Andrade and Rose Namajunas square off in essentially a number 1 contenders fight. So that's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, punch that subscribe button like a UFC fighter, and I will see you next time. Peace.